Okay. Um, I am basically just, just making sure that everything. Oh, my pen. Let me get my pen. I just want to
Okay.
make my pen. You know what I mean? So I ain't got to be all moving around and stuff. I just want to make sure I'm nice and settled. That's all. I got everything I need right here stationary. I hate that when I get to going live and I'm like, oh snap, I didn't grab this. So I got my pad, got my pens, got my ashtray. um,
We are
oh,
live.
hey, don't say that.
I told you I was getting ready to hit the live button. We live.
We live.
Yeah, we live.
Okay. Oh, so read spec. Welcome, welcome. All right now. So this is going to be a crash course, of course. All right, y'all. So we got a few things we're going to talk about this evening. So what we're going to talk about is two subjects. We're going to talk about what happens after you cross over. And the reason why I want to talk about that is because with all of the gossipy things that we be talking about, with everything that goes on in this world, I do believe that's the one topic everybody wants to duck. Nobody wants to just have a moment and just really think about that process. And I believe that that's the most important factor that you should focus on in your own life. All right. So apparently,
Hmm.
from what you just got a quick glimpse of, scientists has actually came to the point where they're saying that we can actually bring the dead back to life. Now, you asking me, I just oh shit. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Allergies. Yeah, that's allergies. So, in my personal opinion, I'm having a hard time coming to the conclusion of this why to land it because we've seen that they've had clones,
Hmm.
and the clones that's not working the best when it comes to livestock. When it comes to vegetation, we've mastered that. Now, livestock and actual body, we have not been able to get that one down pack. So, Lolo, before we get going, first and foremost, beloved, how are you? What is going on? Respect to the family. What you got for it? What
Uh,
you think?
hey everybody. Welcome to any of my streamers that come up here to watch me. Welcome back. I know it's been a minute. I am your the best YouTuber you hardly see. But I do love doing this. But y'all know my life is hectic.
Talk your shit. Talk your shit.
Hey, listen, I don't put content up if it ain't on my heart to put it up. So unlike other people, you ain't about to get no BS from me just for the
What?
simple fact that it's Tuesday. So, shout out to all of us incognito folks. But I'm doing okay.
You know what I'm mad at? I'm
It's
mad.
good. Life is
Mad
good.
'cause I don't hear your intro right now. Like I'm used to just like I don't say nothing. I'm like, oh yeah, here she go, boom, and it just
Yeah.
playing the intro. So my bad about that, y'all. I'm on my phone on this one, so
Oh yeah, no, don't worry. Listen, everybody knows. Everybody knows. Okay, it is.
everybody know they hip.
It is what it is. but
There we go.
now you know what? When you first told me about this,
Mm.
I had what I want to call a fleeting thought, which was I had a conversation with my father one time about you know the coming back to life, right? And
Yeah.
it was in perspective of the teachings of Jesus. And
Hmm.
I remember having this conversation with him where I asked him, I said, Dad, it says something very profound in the New Testament about one's ability to bring the dead back, or let's say call consciousness back into a body. Okay. To be
Really?
practical. And I said, Jesus said that you will be able to do what he did and greater. And I
Mhm.
said, what is greater than calling consciousness itself to something that it's not at right there? Like, what's greater than that? And I said, he said that you can do that and it's there. But why is it that when I talk like this, you don't, it seems like far-fetched or unbelievable, and it's right here in your text that you can do this and more, and not in the afterlife, not when Jesus come back or whatever the case may be. This is a right now thing. And I can show in the New Testament that even Jesus, for instance, when he was on the boat asleep and he woke up irritated because he was essentially telling his followers, hey, I taught you how to do this, and this is controlling the weather.
Right.
And he's irritated that they don't know how to do what he has taught them to do in terms of controlling storms. This is monumental. But I told my dad, I said, based on that, Jesus has said, hey, I can do these things. You can do these things too. And I mean, like in real time. So what's the problem? And I said, it says this funny little thing about faith. And I think that the word faith is an old world term, but I think there's a more technical term that we can use. But I said, if, you know, if someone that you love passed away, do you have that level of faith that you could call their consciousness back into their body? And he had to be honest with me. And he said that no, he doesn't believe that that can happen. And so I found that to be very interesting. Um,
Are you good?
yeah, no, I'm good.
Okay.
I
All
was
right.
that
No,
I
no. So
found
look,
that to be interesting, like very interesting, given the reality. But to your point here with the video,
Mhm.
I haven't seen it, so I'm interested to see where humanity is on that conversation.
And there is a hadith. So you spoke about the Christianic version. So in the Islamic version of what you spoke about, in the Quran, no, not the Quran, in Ibn Kathir Tasfir. Okay, so Tasfir. It's almost like how in the word it would be Psalms. Look at it like that. The Quran says those who try to duplicate God make more of a mockery than miracle. Basically, when you try like to only God can give forth and take away life for the most part. Only, you know what I'm saying? Like, when I wouldn't say take away, we do that, but when it comes to the whole process of how you go from a sperm cell to an entire full physical body of a person. Like, me and you both started off as just like little tadpoles swimming and racing. And that's something that man is not supposed to try to duplicate. So from the Islamic version, that is more so bidah. That's you don't do that. Um, More so than it's accepted. Now, I don't know how they look at it in a modern sense when it comes to science and stuff, because everybody wants to see their loved ones. But I will believe that overall, that is still something that is safeguarded within Islam, is that you don't try to duplicate God. That's why for a long time in the old Arabic scripture, which would be considered like Old Testament for those who are Christian who not hip, drawing pictures. If I was to draw a picture of you exactly how you look right now in your whole likeness, all your features, they saying I'm trying to duplicate God. What do you think they're going to say when you're trying to bring back a whole dead body? That's like witchcraft. You're going to get dunked in a river for that. You can set them on fire and beheaded. Like, they're not playing with that. So yeah, talk about it. I see the look on your face. Talk about it.
Um,
I see it. I see. What's up?
I'll say this. I do understand people's positions. I do, but I do think that people's positions often are rife with um, paradoxes. Let's say that, not contradictions, but maybe paradoxes. Um, several things being true at the same time that seem to contradict each other. For instance, the Quran talks about, Isa, or what we know as Jesus. It doesn't refer to Jesus as a sorcerer at all, nor does it discredit the miracles that he did, nor does it say he was God. So for all intents and purposes, if Jesus said, ye are gods, he wasn't equating himself to the word God, nor was he equating his father, quote unquote, to a God. The word God is a very misinterpreted word, frankly speaking, if you're reading the Bible. However, the Quran did not, let's say, come back and say, oh, no, that's not what happened or whatever. It didn't deny any of that. So
Hold on, wait a minute. You're saying that the Quran basically spoke about how Jesus made it clear we are gods?
Jesus made it clear that the same essence he is the same essence you are. And what he can do because of his essence, you can do. That's
So basically what you just told, okay. So what you just told me is, because that's based upon the Christianic faith and belief, is that Jesus is God.
No, Jesus never said that he was the God that you're thinking of. Jesus never said.
Because you know what? In Al Qiyamah, it even says that the Son of Mary, the Messiah, will return, but he will not return in the likeness in which the gospel speaks of.
I can't say what the gospel speak of, because the true gospels most people have never even read. But
you know this. Yeah.
At the end of the day, what I'm saying is Jesus did not equate the word God or the Greco-Roman equivalent to who he was praying to. And he quoted the Old Testament. So from an Islamic standpoint, if the Quran does not dispel him as a sorcerer for what he said and or did, then nobody can come back and say, well, what he did is necromancy. It's not necromancy. It's an ability that you have. Just because you have the ability to procreate through sex, does that make you a sorcerer? No, it doesn't.
See, Lolo, I got you. I got you, fam. Sorcery is about, think about the word sorcery, the source. You cannot be a sorcerer unless there is a source in which this power derives from. Anything that is of the divine, anything that, I'm just telling you belief wise, you calling upon God or God using you to display certain miracles through is not the same as sorcery. Sorcery is something you have to conjure up. Okay. Divinity is something that is naturally given to you through ordainment. There is a difference. It is. I see where you went with that because of the miracles, walking on water, everything else. No. That's not sorcery.
No, I'm not making a case about sorcery because you're saying sorcery is something you conjure. My name is OSHUN for a reason. That's not what sorcery is. Whatever you think you're talking about, you're not conjuring anything, which is why it has the effect it has. You're not calling anything into existence that isn't already in existence, that isn't already a part of you. That's not what's happening. That is the Disney version that, you're calling something that wasn't there now because you're in command of something. That's not what's actually happening. That's what they sell you. But at the end of the day, the point is, if Jesus made it very clear, or Isa made it very clear that through his miracles were not unique to him. He made that very clear. It's not unique to him. So even if you think Jesus is whatever you think he is, he made it clear that he is the likeness of you. You are the likeness of him, and you have the same power he has. So
now, what was the number one thing? Now, watch this.
But if he brought somebody back from the dead, if that's what he does, right? And everybody feels like he is the epitome of what we should be like. And he said, you will be able to do these things and more. Then why is it that when people attempt to do what he said they will do and can do and have the authority to do and more, and then call it something like sorcery, something like witchcraft? Like, you're speaking about Jesus essentially when you say that, because he's the one who specifically said you had the power to do it. He make it no uncertain terms. You do. Somehow you do.
I see exactly where you just went. Touche, counsel. Okay, now, this is my thing. We have to think about when sorcery, in its sense, came into play. Now, this is long before even the Son of Mary, the Messiah, walked the earth. First and foremost, like for example, in Islamic views, it is looked at as those of the Pharaoh were the most not demonic, but they don't have a good place in the afterlife because of all of the mimicking of God and them calling themselves God and everything. It was the arrogance more than anything, is what it comes down to. So, what you're speaking about when it comes to what the Son of Mary, the Messiah, said, yeah, you're right, you're in my likeness. But what did he always call himself? The Son of who? Everybody else called him the Son of God. So everything that you're saying, I get you, but he never claimed any of that. He always said, I'm the son of David. David's a man. He said, I'm the son of man. So yes, you're in my likeness, as in the likeness of man, the likeness of your humanity.
Mhm.
Did I have to have some interventions involved for you all to really believe that the message is real? I do believe that that had to happen at one point. I believe that people were in such a state of disbelief that we did have to see 1,000 fish fall out of a bucket. I think we did have to see somebody walk on water. I think we did have to see, like, you know what I'm saying, a sea part. I do believe that we did have to have one man build an entire ark or something, whatever. I believe that these miracles did have to take place. These prophecies had to come to fruition in order to get the people to believe. I don't think that we will have a belief system today if none of these miracles ever did take place back then, which I don't look at as sorcery. That's not sorcery, because that's not a conjuring. They didn't conjure anything. It was given to them without their permission. Most of them didn't even ask for what it was of the revelations and everything that came to them. See, the difference with sorcery, you have to go to the source. Sorcery, you're going to the source. The source came to them. That's the difference between the prophets and those who study, which we would call Wicca. I digress. My mic is muted. Rock
I,
out loud.
I think Wicca is beyond the scope of the conversation. It's a very late addition to
But you said sorcery. I ain't cutting you off. You said sorcery, right?
you're defining sorcery as someone conjuring something that wasn't there already, which
Right. Yes.
which
Yes.
negates the idea of sorcery. You can't conjure the source. The source is all that exists. You can't call it someplace that it doesn't exist. That doesn't make any sense to the science of even witchcraft. Like, this is what I mean by a lot of people that talk about sorcery, right? Until you've actually walked that path, you don't know that the way it's being sold to people is to hide the very things that Jesus taught. And it's like, it's easy right now. The biggest blunder of Jesus, right, is he did
Mhm.
miracles, right? But his message
Mhm.
stopped with him. People now say, you're the miracle doer, thus you're God, thus I pray to you. And his message is literally the opposite of everything I just said,
Facts.
because
Facts.
people thought, oh no, only he can do it. Even his disciples thought, oh no, you do that. That's what you do. And he was like, no, I'm telling you, you can do it. No matter how many times he said no, I and you, we pray to the same God. He was praying to the same God. He was doing the same thing and told you, you can do the same thing and taught you how to do it. People still
Mhm.
elevated him as a deity because they seen these things. Now, you mentioned about Egypt. Now, unless you studied the let's say the religion of Egypt, right, and you read the ancient language, it's hard to sit and say what their belief system were. It's very hard.
Which one, when you say the ancient language, which one? Because if you
There
know about the thousands amongst
were,
thousands of years of ruling, it changes.
several. There were several, and if you
Yeah.
have not even
Yes.
if you haven't learned one, you can't really speak on what their belief system is. It's like someone saying what your belief system is. They don't speak English or Arabic, but they're saying what your belief system is. It's like that isn't something that they can speak to. They can speak to something else, but maybe not that. To
Or
point,
not. Yeah. Yep. Or like it's not just Arabic. Those generally of the Middle East who study Islam speak between Arabic, Farsi, and Urdu.
None of that makes any none of that has anything to do with anything. Really. The point is, if someone doesn't speak the language, they cannot talk about what's in the language. That's a lie. If you don't speak Arabic, if you don't read Arabic, if you don't speak English either, how are you speaking about Smitty's belief system?
Yeah,
You
but see,
don't
the thing
know.
is, if Smitty's belief system is of, yeah, but if my belief system is of Islam, and you want to learn about Islam through what it is that I know,
No, that's not the case. You're not trying to learn about what you reference. And so
but
what
just
I'm
let me
saying,
finish the statement, though. Let me finish the statement. If you
go ahead.
want to learn about Islam through what it is I have to offer, if you don't know how to speak English, it's going to be rough for me to translate it to you. So when I was saying that those who speak Farsi and Urdu, also because that's Pakistanians and Iranians, all of them, Syrians, Jordan, all of them places where it's Islamic countries primarily, they have their own language. So if I wanted to go learn from one of them, I would first have to learn how to basically communicate with them to even ask them the question about Islam. So it does connect, Lolo. I digress. My mic is
So
muted.
when I say it doesn't connect, I mean there's
Okay.
hundreds of religions. If you
That,
don't
that's a
speak the
fact. That's a
language
fact.
of any specific religion or the language of the people that's talking to you about it, there is
Right.
no way for you to judge what's in it. There's absolutely no way for you to know anything. So when you talk about Egypt, right? And you say, well, there's so many languages, no matter how many languages it is, if you don't speak it, if you don't read it, if you don't know what that was, you're taking somebody else's fourth and fifth hand understanding of something even they don't understand and making it your
Mhm.
own. And that's something that a lot of people preach against, especially when it comes to their own personal religion. They don't like when people do that. So it's not necessary to do that when it comes to anybody else, specifically to the point of the Egyptians and the sorcery. You understand? Again,
Mhm.
you see what you think is their religion through the lens of the Disney world, Europeanized, whitewashed
Hollywood.
of
Hollywood.
the word
Right.
sorcery. Because this
Right.
happened well before Hollywood was even a thing. If you use that lens and look at it, you're going to see whatever you think you want to see through that if you use that lens. However, for what you read in, let's say, biblical studies about, well, you know, what happened there, right?
Mhm.
What did they do that Jesus didn't do? Jesus turned stone into something, inanimate things into animate things. He called life into lifeless bodies. What else did he do? He multiplied food in a way that is weird, that's edible. Like
Right.
he did
Right.
some things. You see some things that on a molecular level, you're
Don't forget
talking
about the
about
healing of the ear. Don't forget about the healing of the ear of the soldier.
that's about the same in terms of respect of the
Yep.
awesomeness of it.
Yep.
But this is what he did, and so at the end of the day, he wasn't like conjuring anything. He said the power is innate, essentially, in every
Right.
human being. Like he's not special. He essentially taught that he's not special. Everything is in every single human being, if only they what believe it is. And so he's saying, if you don't believe it, as in the Gospel of Thomas, what is within you, if you bring it forth, it will essentially bless you. But what you don't bring forth that is within you will essentially curse you. So
Yes.
essentially, when you look back in time prior to his time period, right, and you see people doing things that you don't quite understand, if you don't understand what they're doing and like what they're saying, at least that they're doing, right? The only thing you can say is they're tapping into something, right? Based on their belief that's allowing them to do some things that the average human being today, even under Jesus's teachings, don't believe they can do. And the only difference between you and them is they think they can do it and you don't. That's the only difference because they're not tapping into something they don't have authority to tap into. There's nothing in their veins that's not running in your veins. None of that is. And this is where, the teachings of Jesus really get freaky, because he's
Mm.
literally telling you that you do not have to do anything but believe, and you will do greater things than he did. And I'm still stuck on the greater part. Like, what is
Yeah, Lola, you was doing great to that last part. I mean, I know how you going about it. I'm being facetious. I'm just joking. I'm just saying.
what's
Yeah,
what's greater? Like, I don't know yet. I don't know. I'm still asking that
like,
question.
yeah. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, okay, so, ooh, here it is. The greater. He walked on water. We skate on ice. It's greater. Okay. All
You
right.
saying that is greater than what?
I said he walked on water. We skate on ice. Still water. We on top of it. We modified it.
I think ice was in the mountains when he was walking on
Oh,
water.
man. I'm just saying. I mean, like, it wasn't in Nazareth, okay? It wasn't in the Mesopotamia, okay? I'm just saying. It wasn't, okay? Ice wasn't there at that time. So he went on ahead and walked on water. We skated on ice.
He
Cool.
wasn't the only one that walked on water that day.
The fact is that what I've always said is that that I love about Islam is the simple fact that we don't disregard any of the messengers that have come. Just as, I mean, which can you really say is more of a like amazing? You see one dude walk on water, then another guy walked up to the edge of the beach with a stick and parched the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't disregard any of what it is that has come through of miracle and of message and of prophecy and of foresight, even hindsight. Those who are able to tell you what to look out for in the future based upon what there has been happened in the past. All of these things are based upon, you know what I'm saying? Like, it is. I mean, so it's not one individual who who has done that, and to land it. That's why he himself, the son of Mary, the Messiah, said, "I did not come to change the prophecies and the laws, but to what, Lola? Finish that for me.
According to what they wrote down about him, he said he came to fulfill it.
To fulfill it. I didn't come to change a damn thing. Everybody that was before me, I didn't come to change nothing that was before me. I only
However,
come
however,
to
that's why I
fulfill."
said what was written about him. I didn't say what he said or what he wrote about himself. I made
Oh, no,
that.
no, yeah. I'm
I'm,
talking
I'm,
to the
I'm
audience.
separating that so that people can understand. I'm very clear on what people said that he said versus the truth about what he said. Because truth be told, one can argue with all authority that he did very much did come and change everything about the law and about how people saw the law and about how people interpreted the law. He came and shook up a lot of shit.
Did he really
That's
come and do that, or is it? No, no,
that's
no. Did he really come and do that, Lolo,
definitely did.
or what was written? Because you got to think, majority of these books that was written about the Son of Mary, the Messiah himself, were almost 200, 300, 400 years after his passing, after his crossing back into the Jannah. Okay, so paradise. So we have to remember. I'm trying to think how many books was somebody right there next to him. Like, yeah, this just happened. Documented this time. From what I know, most of these books are Matthew, or Mark, or John, or Paul. All of them was hundreds of years after. Lord knows how many telephone stories of rumors they had to hear before they finally put down their own document. That
Well,
is why those who know of the scribes, all right, the real scribes, the real scholars, know that you have to be able to read it, and you have to go back to either the Ethiopian Bible. That's right, the Ethiopian Bible, or you have to go back to the Aramaic version, which is only in the Library of Congress.
I'll
Stuff.
say this about the Gospels. Even if I want to give the Gospels credit for being authentic, truth be told, when I ask about the authors of the
Mhm.
gospel specifically, it's clear that maybe two could have actually been written by somebody who knew him, but specifically maybe one with
Right.
all credibility, maybe one book that could have been written that about somebody that knew him. However, even that is challenged based on other texts. Now, the other texts that I've read are written in first person. We know who the author is. We know who they're talking about, and they're
Mhm.
all of them are justifying the fact that this individual actually lived, where he lived, what his principles was, what his life story generally was. So we know that there's a connection. We know there's a connection. So it's like when you read the Gospels in the canonized Bibles, it you're not getting truly who he was. And when you read the Gospel of Thomas specifically, right, the whole Gospel of Thomas, it's a very short gospel, but that shit will let you know. No, you reading Thomas, whoever the fuck Thomas is, you reading him,
Mhm.
and he telling you the last thing he heard that Jesus told him, and the way he wrote it, you be like, yeah, that's firsthand right there. That ain't no, even if it was written down 30 years later, that he wrote that shit down 30 years later. But it's scary. And the rest of them gospels corroborate that at different
Right.
times. Corroborate, but what it
Right.
doesn't corroborate, honestly, is the ones that's been curated, the ones that maybe we're referencing in the King James version of the Bible. Because at the end of the day, it's very clear that your conscience will tell you when you are reading or seeing the truth and when you're not. That's why I always tell people I don't care about books being rewritten and stuff like that, because truly that compass inside of me, that source inside of me, is it sees the truth and nothing is hidden from the source. So you can believe that the source is separate somehow and you're just a pile of evil clunk. I don't know, but I don't care. I see the truth and it always reveals itself. And the only difference is I just know, and I believe, I know that that's truly what is happening here. It's not about what I think I can conjure about from Jesus, because I hate when people say that word conjure, because people always talk about laying hands on things and praying and touching and chanting and basically conjuring. But then when people do the same exact thing, they say, oh no, you're conjuring because you didn't use the name of Jesus, even though it's the same thing, and the same thing is happening. Same thing is happening. And people are like, well, where's it coming from? So it's like, listen, let's stop saying the word conjure. Let's stop trying to act like we're better than each other and just kind of deal with the subject matter, which is, if Jesus brought somebody back to life, and we believe that, he believed that. And he said that, that's not a special thing. It's just a part of a bigger thing he's talking about. Let's just go with it for a second, right?
Hold up.
Let's just go
The
with it.
Messiah didn't have labs. He didn't have binkers and test tubes. He didn't have syringes. He didn't have any of that. Okay.
Who you talking about?
The son of Mary, the Messiah, Esau. The
What,
son of Mary, the Messiah.
why do you say that?
Just because, all right, so this is what I'm saying. What we're getting ready to get into, ladies and gentlemen, because we're getting ready to pull this video up and we're going to talk about this, right? Because I think that's a good segue. It's not about conjuring, all right? It's about there is a clear difference between the creator and the creation. And I do believe that the main message that the Son of Mary, the Messiah, came to preach was, we are of the creation, so we need to praise the creator. Period. Just flatline. Boom, right there. However you see the praise should go about, now that's on you in particular. But I believe that was just the flatline message. So now, ladies and gentlemen, they are saying that since Lola says you can do as I do and better, they
No, I
actually
didn't say that. I'm repeating what he said in the book. I didn't say that.
no, but you repeating it as if you agree.
No, I'm speaking of it. Here's the thing: even if I do agree, right, that doesn't mean it's true. Just because I agree with it. What
I
I'm
mean,
saying,
and even if you did agree, it don't matter if you do. So what? It's your opinion. You can agree if
yeah,
you do.
I get that. But what I'm saying is, for all intents and purposes, for the conversation, I'm
Right.
saying, okay, if he said that he is the son of man, I'm equally a son of man, right? I'm equally human.
Mhm.
And if
Right.
he was teaching other humans, his disciples, to do things that he called essentially like small things, right? And these things to us seem big, I'm inclined to at least entertain the thought that maybe, just maybe, right? It ain't as cut and dry as people would like to put it in terms of, well, religion and all this other stuff and who's God. Maybe it's just as simple as maybe he was just teaching people something fundamental about what's innately a part of our being that we just haven't tapped into. Maybe it's just as simple as that. Maybe it's nothing else really deeper than that. Maybe let's just entertain the thought, because right now we're going to show a video of what people are saying that they have found, at least
Mm.
now in 2025, that they're able to do in a maybe a more physical standpoint in terms of, like, you know, what they can experiment with. Now, maybe to some level they're catching up to what Jesus said on some rudimentary level. Maybe not. But if they find the truth, and the truth is proven that this is what they're doing, I'm of the mindset I'm not about to doubt the truth. I will doubt people that say, "Hey, Jesus may have did that and said that and shit, but we just want you to believe Jesus the only thing that mattered." Meanwhile, he's telling me quite literally from the book what really matters. So I'm
Yep.
inclined to entertain this conversation about what can be brought back to life, because I think it's an interesting conversation. I really do. I think it's worth it.
Listen again, ladies and gentlemen. Before she push play, the fact is that this is something all of us deal with. And I mean, I would think that today more than ever, with as much as we see, like even in Mexico, with all of everything going on since El Mencho has been, hit, all of the wars from the UK war that was going on in Russia and everything else. God dang it. I hope I didn't get us hit, Lola. I hope I didn't get us hit. Anyway, I'm just saying, with a lot that's going on in this world, you would think that people would want to know a little bit more about this. But I noticed, Lolo, we be ducking the absolute most important, inevitable question that we all should ask. What happens when the soul reaches the collarbone? We just do not ask that question. And so let's go ahead and let's look at a video. Apparently, science is telling us that they can bring back bodies. Apparently.
Okay, let me add that to the stage.
Let's see what we got.
All right.
Rest my mic is muted. Rock out, Lolo. Do your thing.
Death is a process, okay? And just because a person has died and they've been given a time of death declared.
Lolo. Start it over. Turn it up. I think you gotta turn it up. Can you turn it up? Yeah. Hit your volume. Yeah. Okay, there you go. I bet.
It's a process, okay? And just because a person has died and they've been given a time of death declared and essentially, called a corpse, the cells inside the person's body have not become so damaged that we can't bring them back. So as science has progressed, we are now able to manipulate those processes for hours after death and bring back a whole person and study their consciousness during that time, which was impossible until very recently, right? And so the incredible discovery through this is, one is that we can bring back people and send them home. We can really have the miracle of science, take someone who's dead and make them alive again, which is amazing. Death is a process, okay? And just because a person has died.
Okay.
Ooh, my bad. Okay, Lolo, I was on mute again. It says that those who try to duplicate God make more of a mockery than miracle.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. Can you imagine if they were able to bring back like a Schmittler and all kind? Can you imagine if they were able to bring back like so many people? Like you got to understand, that that totally goes against when it's your time, it's your time. It totally goes against the laws of life, like the laws of existence, which is all of our existence is temporary, it's just different. It's different. I don't have no problems with the miracles of science as far as medicine. But when you talking about somebody is completely gone and you talking about digging up a grave and bringing them back because you can bring back the cells and the molecules and stuff, are they actually bringing them back in that person's actual body? Or are they going to get some DNA samples and make a clone and bring that person back in their likeness? You see what I'm saying? The fact is that no matter what man does to land it, because I know you want to get in there, I just don't see that this is a good idea. I don't agree with it at all, and I believe that once you're gone, then that's it. The once we can manipulate death, I mean, if you think that people won't play life like a video game GTA, oh man, you sadly mistaken. But I digress. My mic is muted. You got the flow, Lolo.
I respect the fact that you said you believe that when your time has come and you die once, that's it. That is your belief. Based on everything that you know, based on everything that you've understood, that is your belief. And you arrived at that belief at a certain point in time. And you could arrive at a different belief at a different point in time. But it is your belief. It has not been proven what you said. Now, I'm going to harp on, the teachings of Jesus, because this is just what I do. Okay. Funny, I picked this shirt just to wear it to like it was just in the closet, and then I threw it on like what? But there was people that was cussing Jesus out, talking about, we called you 3 days ago. She dead now. Talking about the little girl that he was supposed to come and help and heal so that she wouldn't die. And he was taking his good, sweet time with her. He didn't rush. And he won't on no carriage, no horse. He won't in no ambulance trying to do nothing speedy for this child that had died 3 days ago. She literally died 3 days ago. Her body was starting to rot. He came and called her actual conscience back. And the only thing that he told them to do was to make sure they gave her some food, because she's probably going to be really, really, really hungry right now. That's it. It was nothing else. People were telling him, she's dead. Essentially, her time is gone. Like, you missed it, nigga. And he looking at them like, you people are just slow. Some of my own folks behind me slow like y'all, but let me help you out. There you go. Now go eat. He didn't give a sermon. He just said, go eat something. Same thing with Lazarus. When Lazarus died, was it his time? People was upset about that. Tell me, you missed it, Jesus. You're supposed to help him before he died. And Jesus was not at all in ambulances rushing to people. I've never seen him in the Bible rush to help to save somebody so that they won't die, so that they will be healed or helped by him. He literally made sure you understood, I'm not in a rush to stop you from dying. So if when you die, that's it, right? Then there would be no justification for any of this at all, period. However, again, like you said, it's my belief that when you die, that's just your time. However, based on the teachings of Jesus, not Christianity, based on the teachings of Jesus, that is not true. And the only reason why people don't have the power to enact what he did is simply because they don't want to. is they just don't believe it, and it is what it is. And here's the good thing about Jesus. He didn't force nobody to believe in that. He didn't force nobody to do that. Not one person did he say, well, you doing it wrong. You sinning if you don't do this or that when it comes to bringing people back from the dead. He didn't sit and chastise people for not believing. Now, you could live your whole life and not bring one person back from the dead, and that's A-okay. But he made it very clear in his message that, yeah, this child did die 3 days ago. She did. Hell, he died, according to people. And then came back. So it's like, okay, that's maybe there's more to the story than just when you die, that's your time. Maybe it's not as cut and dry and black and white. Maybe.
You got a point there. I'm just saying, like, so I had to write it down. We have been disconnected. We not like, it kills me when we keep thinking that we are literally the same breed of black people that our ancestors were. And I'm talking about, let's just go back to slavery. No, we not. No, we not. No, we not. We a watered down version. Just like how stuff like food, like Hostess cupcakes and certain popsicles or whatever it is, used to taste way better back then than it do now. I'm just saying, okay? Like the Murphy's, like fish sticks and stuff. Anyway, let me.
Okay. They had better recipes. Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
But like all jokes aside, like, we have to remember that it's not the same. So who they were is not who we are. We are just the watered down strain of the bloodline. Yeah. Why are we the watered down strain? Simply because of the comfortability. The comfortability is what has watered it down. There's never no way that we're going to be able to truly be able to know what it's like to have that experience of the trauma that they truly have seen in their face and went through. Do we have horrendous, horrific things happen today? Absolutely. But we at least have something called a judicial system at this point. We at least have a certain amount of rights at this point, so on and so forth. There was a time where that stuff just happened, and it was like you just, I don't know, you shot a rabbit in the woods. Like, who cares? So what? You shot a rabbit, man.
Well, Smitty, keep in mind, right? The world is a very dangerous place. The universe is a dangerous place. That's the nature of things here, and I think we kind of we like you said, there's a lot of comfortability, and we fail to realize the reality that we truly live in, because we are comfortable. Like, if you look at the moon, right, you see all those round spots.
Of course,
those are
asteroids.
Those are world catastrophes. Hundreds of them. When do you think the Earth isn't about to get another one of those things and get a hard reset over billions of years? Like, we've been hit quite a few times, and life has came to a screeching halt quite a few times, more times than what our instruments will tell us. So my thing is, when it comes to recognizing the reality that we're in, I think what we're talking about right now is an aspect of that. Recognizing that we live in a reality where things can happen and we don't really understand why. We have people like, Isa or Jesus that gave us a glimpse into some things, but didn't tell us the whole story about every single thing, but it gave us just enough to get us to where we are right now, where science is proving that maybe what he said was true. Maybe it's not just religion.
Right.
Maybe, because keep in mind, homeboy over here, I'm not saying he lying, but unless he putting it on the screen and showing us in the laboratory, like what's the name and them did over there at down at NASA, I think the jury is still out on what he said. So if he's telling me that, well, we can we can create cells and bring something back to life. I think me and you both have been aware of. They've been messing around with keeping people's cells alive for a long time.
Well, you talking about sperm in a cup? You talking about?
Remember the lady who died and she was in the hospital? It was a black lady back in the 40s or something, and they kept her cells and still alive to this day. And I forgot her name, but black lady.
The only thing I know that gets kept alive is sperm and eggs.
No, that's not it. Her actual cells have been kept alive since that time. Her family tried to sue over that, and I don't know if they even won. But I know it's a woman. It's old. She's from the 40s, but they've been doing that. I've been aware of that. You see what I'm saying? So that's not new. But what he's saying is, no, we can keep a whole body alive, and consciousness will return to it, the same consciousness that was in it, meaning that this person will come back and retain memories. That's how you know it's the same person. Memory. If they remember how old they were when their first tooth broke, if they remember their mother's maiden name on the table in the hospital. I mean, if I passed away for 3 days and this man right here got me up, and I'm talking about, I remember that I had a phone call with Smitty the other day. Like, who else do you think had a phone call with you the other day? Like, what I'm saying is, what you're in now is a time where some of the most amazing things are going to happen. And either you're going to put your head in the dirt and say, hey, only person can do that is Jesus. Fuck what Jesus really said. Or you're going to give it the credibility that it earns from you. Like he said that. Okay, cool. I hear you, bro. You said that. Now, if you can show that, now we cooking with grease. Now, if you show that somebody, it was passed away, you brought them back to life because of your instruments, they retain memory and they're walking around, I'm not about to doubt you. I'm not. Because I asked my father that fundamental question. If you had the power to bring consciousness back, would you? And he said he would, but I said, do you believe that you can? And he said no. And I said, Dad, I have more faith in what Jesus said than you. And I'm not a Bible thumper.
Listen, see, this is my thing when it comes, Lolo. We about to really go there because I know you already here. So let's tap in. No, I'm dead ass.
Go ahead.
When you talking about like shit, when you talking about bringing somebody back, that is disrupting the fabric of the future. Every pebble, do you see what I'm saying? The ripples, depending on who you bring back and everything else, there are so many things that you can disturb, all the way down to me and you not even existing. Yes, because you don't know who you bring back, who winds up, because think about it in like a person offs each person. Imagine if once upon a time the person who needed to be offed wasn't, and they still wound up, and then they wound up getting your great grandfather who never blah blah blah, but Lola never came. Like the trickle effect, the ripples. That's why I love how the Asians look at a stone in the river. I love that haiku, the stone in the river, and how, you know, you drop the stone in the river, and depending on where the ripples go and how much, that's like the current of your life. And so what they're basically saying in a nutshell, not to get lost, get anybody lost, is that every splash, every drop, everything was synchronized. You can't disturb none of that. When you try to think about bringing somebody back to life, Lolo, you're disrupting the balance. I'm telling you, I don't care if it was grandma that never did nothing to nobody. I don't care if it's your cousin who you love so much and you like, come on, cuz I know you didn't deserve that day. You are disrupting the balance when you do that. And that's something I don't want to play with. For whatever reason that it was their time, it was their time. And for whatever reason, right now, it's not my time and it's not your time, for whatever reason that is. And that's when we get into the whole questioning God. Like, I believe that that's the ultimate way of questioning God. Like, nah, bring them back to life because why are they dead? Nah.
So I will give you that the way of nature is a circle, meaning
Mhm.
things go up, they come down. This is what keeps it in balance because it moves one, and it moves in a circle, not in a line. It moves in a circle. See what I'm saying? And if we just look at population, right? If nothing ever dies, at some point nothing can be born. See what I'm saying? If nothing ever dies. So I'll give you that, right? I will give you that. That makes sense. It does upset the balance of things. At least on this planet it does. But outside this planet, there's other things that are at play that we're not considering. Now, I want to take you back to Genesis 3:22. That was not mentioned in the Quran or the Hadith.
Okay.
And I want to just whenever people can, read it, it speaks about, it says here, and this is just a paraphrase, okay? Then, Elohim said, behold, the Adam has become like one of us, knowing trove and throve, which is what they call good and evil, but I know that's not what that means. And now, lest he reach out his hand and take also from the tree of life and eat of it and then live forever. So, the whole purpose of Adam being barred from what we believe as the garden has everything to do not with knowing good and evil, but the fact that if he reaches for the other tree, he will be like one of us, being immortal. So now we gotta get him gone because that's not what we intended for him to be an immortal. But here's the really funny thing about that. If you can be an immortal, that's more interesting than someone not wanting you to be. The fact that you can be, if you put your hand towards it, meaning if you reach towards that right there, you will have that. And so the thing is, there are creatures, according to the Bible, that are immortal. There are, and that's not upsetting any balance. So again, I might sound more like the devil's advocate here, but I get what you're saying. The delicate balance of life and death. Death is a part of life, right? It is. However, we're taught that it is a part of life, but it almost comes as a choice. Even it is a part of life, but it is a choice that you make. And as strange as that may sound, when we have old people dying, people falling off of bridges, it's almost like we can't do anything to save people. What if it was a choice and we could choose when we pass away? That's not upsetting a balance, because at the end of the day, hey, lest you reach out your hand to take from the tree of life and become an immortal. The tree of life isn't an actual tree. I hope people understand that and not be childish. But whatever it is talking about immortality, which is what this white man is pointing towards. I can bring back cells that aren't too degraded. It's like a body that died 3 days ago. We can kind of do things to the body and its consciousness will re-emerge. Sort of like when somebody dies for a couple hours and they see themselves and they move from their body and then suddenly they move back into their body. We have witness testimony that consciousness can move out of a body, be aware, and then move back into itself and still be aware that it wasn't in the body. We have full witnesses that say this happened to them lots of times. So again, I'm going to rest on the teachings of Jesus, because Jesus came back and doubled down on what happened in Genesis and said, "Oh, that's not them big. You can do that and better." Listen, Jesus, if you're out there listening to me, what's the better? So I'm just saying, I know I sound like I'm making jest, but I'm not. I really do feel like this is something that the entire world missed. And I don't care that I'm just one person. The entire world for the last 2018 years missed the last train leaving when it came to somebody saying, hey, there's some things that you have the authority to do because of who and what you are, but you're not employing it because you think that you're not what you are. So therefore, as a man thinketh, so is he. You think you're immortal that dies and lives as any animal, and you will. You are. That whatever you think is true is true. If you think you are a rich man, you are a rich man. If you think you're a poor man, truth be told, you are poor and you will never be rich. So it's like there's never been a time when a poor man thought that he was poor and he was just rich. Like that's just never been the case. So I don't know. It sounds weird, but I believe that the world is just coming to learn a little bit of what Jesus taught, just a little bit from a scientific portion. But you, as you know, Smitty, science is the other half of spirituality. Science is the more crude form of spirituality. For instance, telekinesis. That's all a telephone is. It's a crude form of spirituality. That's it. What we're trying to replicate with computers is the human brain. That's all we're trying to do. And we don't understand the human brain. We just understand that it works a certain way. We don't really understand it. So it's like I'm fully aware of that. But what I don't, and maybe it's because I might be on some woo-woo shit sometime. But when somebody tell me they had an out-of-body experience and they describe their surroundings and they factually put themselves where they were at versus where they are at, and I can verify that, I'm not the type of person that's just gonna put my head in the sand. I'm gonna take that bit of information and piece it with the next bit of information, and I'm gonna make that I'm gonna connect them dots. But I'm telling you now, and a lot of people don't believe me, whether you Christian or not, that portion that Jesus taught where he made it very clear to his own disciples, y'all are not listening to me. Y'all do not believe. I don't care if you are my disciples. Essentially, he told them, y'all don't really believe in me. I'm telling you simple shit, and you keep on saying other shit like you don't believe me. Listen, if they his closest friends and they had trouble, I understand why regular people had trouble. But see, I'm not the type of person that think I'm better or above or underneath of anybody who knew Jesus. Like I'm not. Like I know Paul didn't know Jesus. I know he didn't put his own letters in the Bible. He got a right to be wrong. I think Paul wrong on a lot of things, but he got a few things right up in there. He did. I can give credit where credit is due. But at the end of the day, what you're not going to do is to act like you the new doctrine now, Paul. Like I'm the type of person I give you credit where it's due. I'm not about to sit and say, oh no. Like no, the truth is the truth, no matter who it's coming from. But the truth, right, is not to be misconstrued with who is talking. Now land there.
Okay. So that's a good segue. So I'm actually curious when it comes to like communication. So how would you say most people communicate nowadays? Do you believe that communication is something that most people are really sufficient at, or do you believe it's something that's really misguided nowadays?
I think being forced to communicate through an apparatus has made things easier in some respects, but it's corroded a certain part of our culture that's necessary for us to be connected, because human beings, we're connected on a spiritual level, on a non-physical level, and there's certain things that can corrupt that. Like, you know, for instance, almost 100% of our communication is things that we're not even saying, things we're not even communicating overtly. So with
Right.
those things being taken away, we're now operating on less than 5% of what we actually use to communicate. And honestly, 50% is bad. 5%, we're in literal hell. So I don't expect for communication between human beings to have gotten better under the circumstances. I would say maybe communications have become more, like we got more bullshit. But to say just because we have all these fancy modes of communicating that our communications have gotten better, no, it's actually gotten worse over time. And I mean, one can assess how bad it is from, let's say, the 1700s. The way children used to speak in the 1700s is very different than it is now. Children in the 1700s was like college educated in comparison to now, because there was no communicating without authentically communicating. So yeah, I can acknowledge where there has been some pluses. I like being able to pick up the phone and talk to people and text and stuff, but at the same time, yeah, that part.
All right. So so you would say that people are not able to communicate as well. So this is my opening question for you before we get into this last segment of it. Um, would you say that the internet has helped people be able to communicate better, or has it made people's communication throughout one another worse?
Worse, because you can lie over the phone, right? But you can't lie but so much over the phone. But you can damn near be a whole nother person online. And that communication, that temptation even has driven our society as a whole to something that honestly we don't recognize anymore. Like, if I mean, and the old saying goes, give someone money and it'll make them more what they really are. Give people access to, you know, a little bit of fame, like multiple people watching you while you're doing something, and it's going to show who you really are. And there's a small sector of people that's going to maintain the truth
Yep.
of whoever they are, let alone the truth of what they're living. And so, I mean, like with you might say, well, it didn't change me. However, you don't see yourself as part of a top 1% elite in anything specific, because you feel like I'm just as human as everybody else. But
Mhm.
sad to say that yeah, you might be one of the dying breeds out here from the 90s. Yeah, yeah, you might be.
So, so let me ask you this question. So, considering that you said the internet has made it worse,
Worse, yeah.
well, the fact is that most of us are for the most part, people meet on the internet. People do their business on the internet.
Mhm.
That is how things are functioning now. So, my question would be to you: do you think real friendships can truly exist on the internet, or are most online connections for temporary convenience?
I think there's the possibility is there. However, the
Mhm.
probability isn't there.
Break it down.
Possibility is there.
Talk-
Probability. You said break it down.
Yeah, yeah. Talk about it. Break it down. Go ahead. I'm right here. I'm right
Okay.
here.
So there's a possibility, right, that you can engage someone online and have a genuine communication with them and be genuine with them, right? There's a possibility of that, because there's people who are genuine people, right? And they understand that you're an actual person on the other end of this. You see what I'm saying? But these are the people that are not corrupted by this actual process here. But there's little to no, none of them, little to none. So that's why there's a possibility that it can happen. It is, but the probability is very, very low that you're going to get that level of genuineness in communication, let alone friendship, because friendships are built on um, events around those people that cause their worlds to kind of collide and stick together. The bonding that they do over events that both affect them, right? Like for instance, with you and I, we went through certain things together, even online from a long time ago, where we both were in it and we both have a certain experience that had, in a sense, bonded us over that. Now, if I hadn't had no experience with you, and this is my first time speaking to you, you would understand that while I respect you as a human being, we're not friends. Like there's no justification, as they would say, for it. But like I said, there's possibility there. But the probability of someone doing what me and you have done is not as high in terms of a genuine way. Because, for instance, without calling names, we know content creators that have coagulated around some fuck shit.
Facts.
But
Facts.
And they seem like friends. They seem
Right.
like it.
Right.
But you know they ain't friends.
And no, you're absolutely right. Definitely, I would say right here, yeah, that's a rare one as far as like, just like honestly, just total respect. One, first and foremost, for each other's relationship, and then two, for you know what I'm saying, ourselves, and then three, for you know what I'm saying, just each other.
Yeah.
It's just respect factor. It's like, you know what I'm saying, you don't step on toes. You don't be trying to do nothing like that. That's just not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you saying that the whole aspect of can you truly have friendship? See, my thing is this, right? When it comes to the part of the question of can true friendships really exist? In my personal opinion, I have to say no. And the only reason why I say no is because there's no possible way, from what I know of friendship, for me to ever be able to consider myself truly all the way like we're friends unless I go through something with you.
Right.
I gotta go. Like, we gotta have that moment where we like, hey, bro, but that day, you know what I'm saying?
It's the
We
trust
need
factor. It's trust factor.
I
It's the
need
trust factor. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I gotta know how you operate in all modes of life, and unfortunately, on the internet, I'm only going to be able to get a certain form of how you move in life. I only know how you move online. I do know how you move once you click up off of here. Now, I would say this: you have some folks that will be able to show you enough of their life, be able to speak to you and be consistent enough to where you're like you can get a good feel. There's also that you can get a good read for those who I would not be talking and talking to you and doing shows with you online if I didn't look at you with somebody like, nah, I see how she moves thorough. Okay, that, you know what I'm saying? So sometimes you can get a feel of a person, but overall, no.
That's why I said it's highly improbable. There's possibility there, sure. I don't want to take away the reality, but it's just like entropy. The possibility of something being exactly duplicated in the universe. That's
Right.
highly unlikely. It's possible, but highly unlikely.
But you know something, that's great because that's a good segue to the next question real quick because we got two more for the evening. So what are the biggest red flags that you believe someone online might be able to let you know that they're fake?
Um,
What are red flags for you online?
Red flags for me is when they're speaking about something that is a part of their reality, but they can't speak from their own reality. That's a red flag. I'm not saying that it's the worst flag, but it's the first red flag I noticed. So, like, if we're talking about any specific subject matter, and that subject matter is something that I too partake in, however, I can't speak from my perspective. I just can't speak from it. That tells me that there's something wrong here. You can't speak with authority on anything if you don't have knowledge, meaning to your experience in it. That's why I don't get in certain conversations, because I have no knowledge in that thing. I have no experience in that thing. I can say I know of a thing, but do I know the thing? No, I don't have no experience with it. So I can't be in conversations about it. It's just some things I can't do. I can't talk about. I can't be in those conversations because I would lend nothing to it. So when I see other people in conversations, and I notice they never speak from their own perspective to help someone else understand them or to understand someone else, that tells me that, okay, you're in this conversation maybe because you want to be in this conversation, not because you authentically can be in this conversation. Now, does that mean that you're lying about everything? Not necessarily, but it's a red flag for me.
So basically not being able to really uphold what it is, like so they may speak about something that you clear as day can see that they really do not live. Hypocrisy, right?
Well, at
Is
that
that
point, it wouldn't be hypocrisy because I don't have nothing to compare it to. But what I do know is, as they say, the chips ain't lining up all the way.
right?
I don't mean nothing right now, but that's the first red flag that something ain't. As you walk in the room, you like, everything seems like it's in place, but something don't smell right.
Right,
It look clean, but something don't smell right. Yeah, that right there. I mean, it's other ones, but that's the first red flag online that I noticed. If you can't speak from firsthand experience, but you're speaking with authority, that's my first red flag. Okay, you might be lying about something.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna go with the number one red flag that is absolutely over boasting.
Over boasting?
Yeah, over boasting, like over bragging, overdoing it.
Oh yeah. I know what
You
you
sold
mean. Yeah.
everything. You always had the ladies, nigga. You've been shot 95 times, still ain't dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, you done been through it all. Like, I mean, you just are that a miracle, amazing person who just has never taken the L. You never lost a fight.
Yeah.
And so I would say for me, it's definitely when a person speaks too much about
About that.
yeah, all the so-called good parts of their life, and they never ever try to give you like something that is of raw, or you notice like there are some signals of they're not being genuine about their story. So I would say, I mean, to me, that would be like the red flags, like off rip. I'm saying, like you said, there's more, but like for me, off rip,
Mhm.
over boasting. Like you just are Superman. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you got
I
all
see that.
women.
Yeah. Red
Oh,
flags. Yeah.
oh,
Over boasting. Yeah. It's a giveaway.
can't forget about the six figures. You gotta have that six figures in there. Gotta have six figures in there. You know, you need that in there.
I'll be honest with you. The only people that get impressed, if I see you overly trying to impress with like six figures, I know you don't really live that life. Like, it's just like people who want to overly boast about being from Baltimore. Most people in Baltimore are trying to leave. They trying to leave the memory. They trying to leave the culture. They trying to breathe nice air and live in a nice place that ain't in Baltimore. But if you wanna overly boast about being from Baltimore, overly boast about always being in Baltimore, overly boast about everything negative about Baltimore, I know you ain't really from Baltimore. I know that you
Facts.
from the county probably, and you never went into the city, and you want to, but you don't know the city life. Like, if you from certain areas, I can tell because you talk like it. Like, if you live in Prince George's County, you
Shout
you
out.
act like it. Okay. And most people don't even understand the historical value of his Prince George's County. If you live
They
there and
don't.
you black, I already know how you gonna come across in your actions because I know the culture. Now, if you live in Southeast, born and raised, and you want to overly talk about being from Prince George's County,
Mm.
I'm gonna see it in your actions. Something ain't lining up.
Nah. That's a fact. Nah. That's a fact. That's a fact. That's a fact.
So
Okay, so yeah, so the over boasting, I mean, that would be like one of the biggest ones that I would say when it comes to what are, you know what I'm saying, the biggest red
yeah,
flag one online that might be fake, you know what I'm saying, pretending to be someone they're not. Point blank, period, you know? So let's go ahead and get on to this last one. But I really do like this question right here because this is something I want to know what you think. Okay, so what do you think most people um hold on. What do you think most people um rather meet why do you think most people rather meet online as opposed to in person nowadays?
I didn't know that was a thing. People rather meet online than in
You-
person.
you- Believe it or not, yeah, it's like 70 some odd percent of people would rather have online interaction before meeting today, nowadays, today in 2026, would rather meet online as opposed to going out to a local spot like a open mic, a cafe, and
Mhm.
meeting someone, you know, sitting down over
Okay,
coffee.
I see. So I'm gonna take my mama hat off, and I'm gonna put on my new age hat, I guess. um,
I'm just tying my thinking cap. I'm tying my thinking cap.
Signed it up. Okay,
Mm,
so with that being the case, right? I think people want to meet online first. One, because it's safe. There is
mm,
no physical threat there. There's no financial threat of someone using you. And oftentimes, because people are online, their lives are online. So instead of meeting a stranger and them telling you they graduated from some college, they belong to this club, they know this person, they've been here or did that, all you got to do is just and then verify that right on the spot versus having to live with them and be lied to for X amount of time before you figure out that it was all a grift, right?
right,
And
right,
I think meeting online creates a shortened version of all of that. You lie, it's only a matter of hours before it comes to light versus months. And so, from that standpoint, I can understand people saying, I would rather meet you online, have conversation with you online because it's conversation. The same communication I'm giving you is the same communication I would give you in person.
mhm,
I can also see how you live your life, meaning what you post online, what you like, the things that you like to click on, like what's in your algorithm, what ain't in your algorithm, who's your friend group. I see who your friend group is, who you hang out with. Tell me a lot about you. You see what I'm saying? Like I can understand why the newbies, the newer people prefer online because there is some perks to it. But it
really? Okay. No, no,
the
no, no,
perks is
you're
the
right, you're right.
time, like the time dilation of figuring out who you're dealing with, right? But at the same time, right, one can hide and obscure themselves online. So there's some give and take there that isn't in person. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So I get why they would say that, but I'm trying to think if I was in their shoes, why would I prefer
Yeah,
online
they actually prefer.
versus over that. Yeah.
Well, since you wanted to play good cop on that one, I guess I'll go ahead and do my job. It's justice. And people are full of shit.
So,
People are full of shit. Okay? That's what it is. I do believe that people rather meet online because you done burnt yourself out in your city. That's right. That's right. That's right. I believe I ain't lying. I ain't lying. You know, you like your whole reputation is burnt the F out everywhere you go where you from. So you ain't got that choice but to go somewhere else. Okay. I also believe that that is 9 times out of 10, although we do have some rare circumstances, Lolo, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That I get that people might be able to connect in that way. But overall, like, nah, that's for people that got something to hide. It's either that or you got so many people that you deal with where you from, you rather deal with somebody else somewhere else. I
Mhm.
just believe it's because they got something to hide or they done burnt themselves out where they from. That's just what it is.
Or it could be easier for them to engage, but not necessarily engage in a way that challenges them. Some people like online because it's quick, it's fast. They don't have to actually speak properly. They don't have to interact in a physical way to learn the person that they're talking to. It's just easier, but it's a shortcut that actually isn't a shortcut. Some shortcuts you take in life, and it's not really a shortcut. It's you screwing yourself over.
You
So
divert.
that's one
Yeah.
of them.
I mean, no, yeah, okay. I will give you that. I'll give you that. I do see how that can be a factor when it comes to
Mm,
meeting someone. I honestly believe that people do not want to put the real work in to actually
yeah.
meet somebody. People do not. People are very awkward nowadays. You see folks going places and they love to keep their head down because they don't know how to just, hello, whatever. And that's it. Just keep it at that. Same time, I'm gonna be real with you. We got a lot of creeps out here. And I think the creep factor has extended itself I'm dead ass on a maximum to the point where not even my black ass want to say hi to anybody because I don't know what the heck y'all thinking nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Let alone a whole grown ass woman. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just letting you know that I do recognize all of those factors that come into play with it. Like you got a lot of people that really make it difficult for folks to want to be able to still have that same you can leave your door open in the summer mentality. I don't think a lot of us have that, up here at this point because it is very, very wild. So I believe that meeting online is safer. Me personally, I would rather go out and meet somebody. I would rather be able to get a feel of who I'm speaking to in person right then and there,
Mhm.
as opposed to like trying to like I don't know. I don't know. It's been wild. I mean, I'm glad I came across what I came across, but like, it's been wild.
Maybe there's a middle ground. For instance, if I met a guy and well, okay, let me use my fiance Vic, right? He we met online.
Hmm.
I think what was best about us meeting online was that it didn't being online, we had to communicate with one another based on who we were mentally. And there was no, don't get me wrong, there may have been attraction there, but it wasn't overpowering the fact that we had to get to know each other up here first before we
Not
could
a
get to know each other anywhere else. And so I learned a lot about him, the person first, before I learned about him in person, like how to be with him in person, what that was like. And that helped me a lot, like a lot, because when you meet somebody in person, how they are in person is very different. So if you don't have a grasp on their mind, how it work, that can be jarring. So in my case, and I'm not saying my case is the only case, but in my
but
case, the middle point was meeting someone online, getting to know them legitimately, seriously, and then putting that what you know in person. And when I put that in person, I realized there was some things that I couldn't grapple with online. Like for instance, some communication just don't work like over the internet. It just don't work. And you have to be okay with that. You have to understand why it doesn't work. And it was almost like and I told you, like there's some communication that started to break down, but then when we was in person, it was like effortless.
Right.
You know, I mean that's a real thing. So
Yes, it is.
is it like, and you know, like when you told me, you was like, I don't know about this dating online stuff. What is this? It's because all you know is how to be in person, but being online, it just takes your mind someplace else. And it doesn't mean that there's no benefit in it, but there has to be a healthy balance of saying, hey, I got to know someone from a distance. So the whole sexual thing is something that wasn't clouding my judgment about them. Now, when I'm in front of them, I have a base. And now I can move a bit different because I know this person in a way that I wouldn't have gotten to know them if they
Yeah,
was
get
in
to know
front of me all
them.
the time.
Yeah.
So there's a balance.
Yeah.
There's a balance. But I'll tell you something, always being in somebody's face will make you want to be online, and always being online will make it impossible for you to be in person. So it has to be a balance in between there. There's no way around that.
There's no way around being online at this point.
No, I'm saying there's no way around skipping the balance. So if you want to have a fully
Oh,
full
okay.
on
Okay.
like virtual relationship, like
Right.
you
Right.
said, no, you're not going to have the experience that's going to solidify the trust. One, and then two, if you meet someone in person, right, you're always going to have the issue of the sex that's clouding your brain cells whenever they speak. They're going to do dumb shit, and you're going to like dismiss it because hey, they look good or I feel good when I'm with them, right? And there's
Mm-hmm.
clouding of your judgment. But if there's a healthy level of you getting to know them in a way where there's no physicality, and then getting to know them in a time when it's more adjustable for that, right? I think it could work in the balance, sure.
I believe still that it has a lot to do with people's overall lack of wanting to commit.
Mm.
I'm sorry, Lolo. That's just where I am. I believe that the more distance, the less you have to actually really truly commit to that relationship. And you can kind of get to it when you want to. And um, that's just how I've always looked at, because it's like I can't see myself being in a relationship where like I can't actually get my hands on you when I want to. I
Sure.
mean, and listen, maybe that's just my old school. You know what I'm saying? I'm used to, hey girl, I'm getting ready to get on the bus. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Come over. I
somebody,
get it.
I'm on my way. All right, yeah, the 86 coming 12:19. I'm on my way to the bus stop now. I'm used to that even from teenage years before I even was able to drive.
Yeah,
So for me, it's real difficult, I guess, to try to navigate
yeah.
something from such a far, far away. You know what I mean? To me, that's all. Hey, it's people that work that stuff out every day, people. It's people
Well,
that work it out.
what about okay, you walking down the street, you meet a girl, and
Uh-huh.
you want to talk to her, and she feels more comfortable giving you her social media. Now, you know what that's about. She don't know if she don't know you. She don't want you to have her phone number. She's comfortable with you following her like a lot of people. And
Right.
so y'all get to talking online, y'all get to, seeing each other's lives, pictures and stuff like that. And then next thing you know, you may introduce yourself to her in a way that's more formal physically. And then when you do that, you realize, okay, a date every now and then makes sense. You see what I'm saying? Hey Riaz. Um, but then you have the healthy distance where you get to know her without it always being Netflix and chilling. Like when you get to a point where you are, let's say, mature in your relationship, that's the time where every day is a Netflix and chill. And it
Yeah,
don't
but
take away from your relationship. But when you first starting out, you need to really listen to what this person is saying. You got to be paying attention to small little nuanced things that's going to tell you a lot about what kind of baggage they got and they coming with. So you don't need the clouding all the time of them being in your face. I think that it could work with the whole, communicating in this way. I think that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying completely no,
Nah,
but
it's crazy. You know what? You actually wording it in that way, counsel. I will give it to you. Without them, yeah, you can slowly ease your way and getting to know them. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
just ease up in there. What they
Okay.
say, slide in the inbox.
Right, slide. Right, there you go. There you go. Don't punch your way through. Don't punch your way through. Slide.
Oh, yeah. Don't just run up in there and say dumb stuff. But,
I mean, see, it's just, my whole thing, Lolo, is I believe that the best way of communication has always been being able to directly speak. Um, I mean, it's like it's nothing that can replace seeing a person's expressions, how they respond,
mhm.
and everything else. But I do get the convenience of the online aspect because I'm gonna be real with you. It's a lot of people I'd have never met if it wasn't for online. So I mean, I do recognize that as well.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to deny it. It's just I'm still a caveman in my own right.
No,
when it
I got you, and I think there's some beauty to how we used to communicate, which was when you were children, learning to communicate in person, learning to make sure that you stayed, emotionally balanced in complicated circumstances as children. Then when you become adults, you learn how to communicate better. I think that's a good way to be. But now that a lot of our communication is forced to be online, especially at work, okay, like there's that taking away, but you have to see the silver lining to
right.
some degree. Yeah. And that's
Well,
that's that's all I would say.
okay. I got you on that. I got you on that.
Mhm.
Well, I appreciate you coming up, Lolo. I appreciate you doing this with me. We at that hour and 30-minute mark and what have you. Do you have any, like, you know what I'm saying, final thoughts about the show at all?
Um, I would just say that to anyone that has tuned in, everyone knows that my opinions are highly controversial. Um, that's one of the reasons why they call me the dragon. Okay, it's not because of a martial
I've
arts
never
skill.
guessed.
Okay,
I've never guessed.
I'm just saying I'm not. I am not. My opinions are not your everyday opinions, and a lot of my opinions, um, I don't even say because they're just. It's too much. It's just too much. And so tonight you may have heard a touch on that. Like some people may say, what do you mean by ye are like all of that? And they misconstrue what I'm actually speaking of because when me and Smitty talk, he might understand what I mean when I speak about certain things because of just a certain understanding he has. But most people know that certain words, right, don't mean what most people think they mean. And so when we speak freely, but
Fact.
some people understand on levels others don't. And I'm okay with that. But I'm never here to, let's say, patronize people to make them feel like I'm just here to, make you feel fucked up or something. Like that is not how I come. That's not what my intention is. It's just I can be very my banter can ruffle some feathers when I speak about religious figures. Trust me, I I understand. But one thing I'm not going to do is fold myself under a banner that does not represent me. And although I'm not Christian, you see what I'm saying? That doesn't mean I can't speak from the Bible. It doesn't mean that I can't have certain understandings from the Bible, as I do from any religious text. You see what I'm saying? So tonight, it's not to say that, like I said to Smitty, that I know that there's been some some embellishments in every situation throughout history. You feel me? I understand that.
Right.
But
Right.
I do believe that my compass will always guide me correctly, no matter what's in front of me. So you can put a lie in front of me. I'm gonna know what's going on. That's just what I know about what I'm capable of doing from my own experience. If whether I've read the Bible or the Quran or what have you, I know that from myself. When you walk into a room and you can feel who's lying, that's not by accident. That's not sorcery. That's not you fucking around. That's not a figment of your imagination. That is something that you haven't. Hey, Kevin Sales. That is something that's been endowed on you because of what you are. So I don't shy away from that. And I try to educate people as much as I can. Like, like this whole conjuring thing.
Right.
The ancients who said they were conjuring were lying. I'm not saying that they didn't believe that they were conjuring. They probably did believe they were conjuring something in the universe that wasn't there, and then now suddenly is there because they called it. Like, they believe that's what was happening, but that's not
Well,
what.
see, that's what I really wanted to ask you, Lolo, before we got out of here briefly, if you don't mind, beloved, is so how long is it going to be before the scientists that we watched go ahead and, you know what I'm saying? Like, how long is that going to take?
The question is, how long is it going to take for them to be okay with the public knowing? Right
You
now,
know what?
right now, I know that they have technology that will make your mind do warped things. I know that. I know that they've already been experimenting with genetics in a way that will make you wonder what universe are we in. I know these things. However, the question is, why is it that the public doesn't know? And trust me, knowledge is power. But the only reason why I know is because out of all the times in the world, I was at the right place at the right time, and I saw or heard something that I was not meant to hear or see. And I had that
Well,
experience. But other than that, I'm telling you now, the public, that's the question. When are they going to be okay with the public knowing what they're doing?
just like they've done with everything else.
Correct.
Like I always say, if you go back to Get Smart and you go back to old James Bond movies,
Mm-hmm.
he's talking to his wrist. Now you see somebody doing this, that's like, it's not like you don't even bat an eye. It's not
Oh,
amazing at
yeah.
all.
Yeah. You'd be like,
Wait,
oh, I'm talking
now,
to my mother on my phone. I'll be
you
like,
know
ain't
what I'm saying? Like now it's nothing. When it comes to hovercrafts, I mean, that was then when Back to the Future
it?
was out.
Yeah. I remember.
So, I
I
mean, we can go
remember.
right.
I
That's all.
remember.
Like, yeah, we can go down a line of things. So, I mean, my whole thing is that I just still find it to be me personally. I get you, Lolo. You're like, well, you know, Christ said you could do as I do. Nah, nah,
Mhm.
you can do as he do as far as like maybe build a house, rest, and eat some fish and bread and stuff like that. But when it comes to this whole like bringing
He
bodies back,
said, greater things you will be able to do than I. What is that?
Lola, play the video one last time before we leave for the people that might not have seen it.
Oh, okay.
Since it's a short, please.
Let me make sure we up here.
Y'all listen to this and tell me what you think. Cause I'm sorry, I just can't. I don't know.
Death is a
I
process.
don't know.
And just because a person has died and they've been given a time of death declared and essentially, called a corpse, the cells inside the person's body have not become so damaged that we can't bring them back. So as science has progressed, we are now able to manipulate those processes for hours after death and bring back a whole person and study their consciousness during that time, which was impossible until very recently, right? And so the incredible discovery through this is, one is that we can bring back people and send them home. We can really have the miracle of science take someone who's dead and make them alive again, which is amazing. Death is a process.
All right. So Lolo,
He
and to
said
everybody,
hours. He said hours after death, not
don't
days.
matter. You're 121 years old. There's an older woman in the DC area. I think I saw in some little news thing on my phone. Little
I
local.
know he's talking.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah, she's about 121 years old. All right. She finally passed away. All right. You trying to tell me that, okay, it's hours after. You bringing her back for what?
Okay, no,
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I get no. At this point, what this gentleman is saying is that they're experimenting with the possibility of bringing people back. Now, what your question is legitimate. Why would we bring everyone back? That's not what he's talking about. But why wouldn't we bring children that pass away in car accidents back? Why wouldn't we do that?
because you don't know who the little bastard was going to grow up to be.
That's not your choice to make.
All right, fine.
Why would Jesus brought a little girl back?
Nah, you right.
Why wouldn't we bring people? Why wouldn't we bring people back that die in a way that you see what I'm saying? Like they had a kidney, they were waiting on a kidney, and now we can get them kidneys. We can grow them kidneys. In fact, why wouldn't we bring them back? Why wouldn't we?
You hit a spot with that one. All right.
You know what I think would be a good idea if they could get this off already? I think it would be a good idea for the government to mandate that anything more than 120 years, they cannot bring you back. You got 120 years. That's the natural progression of your biology, 120 years.
So you're talking about, okay, so hold on. You're talking about if, okay, boom, shot, for example, James gets shot, boom, pass away. You talking about put him in like one of them little incubator tubes where it's all cold and icy like Superman and shit, and just preserve the body, and you only got 120 years inside of a capsule.
No, that's not it. That is not
no. I'm saying, like, I'm trying to picture, you know what I'm saying?
No, and now this is the question I had for him. When someone dies of something, right? The something they died of is why the body can't no longer sustain itself.
Thank you.
So if you don't fix why the body couldn't sustain itself, it almost doesn't justify that you bringing their consciousness back, because they'll just immediately pass away. So this is one of those questions that they're trying to figure out. And
can you imagine making somebody go through that again? Can you imagine that? Bring them back just for them to be convulsing and shit and just be like, what? Cuss you out and then go again? Like, that'd be terrible.
That would be terrible. But I understand what they're trying to do, but they have the mountain is very steep where that's concerned. I think, like the Bible says, they're going to reach their hand for it, and they're going to be able to do whatever they want to do. They will be able to do whatever they reach their hand to do. And right now it's in its infancy, sure, maybe a little further. But at the end of the day, if they can figure out how to sustain a body that has passed away, like if you pass away from a brain aneurysm, right? Bringing you back, you still got the brain aneurysm issue.
No, but not just that. Listen, this is why I made the example of the 121-year-old woman. The fact is, okay, you bring them back. They're like 90, whatever. They're 50, whatever. Okay, you bring them back. They're here. The body breaks down. I don't care what you do. Your bone, everything slowly, it breaks down.
Right.
Like, what, you know what I'm saying? How really, that's why I call
that. They haven't spoke to that yet. And I'm not saying they don't have answers.
Because because there is no answer. You can't do nothing with it.
Don't say that yet, because just because he didn't say that doesn't mean they don't already have that already in pocket. So he's telling you, hey, we got technology where we can do this. If he said that it works, then it's common sense. You don't bring somebody back that don't have a head on their shoulders and they got the head chopped off. You don't bring nobody back like that. That's not how that works. But if you can bring somebody back that died 1 hour ago, that had like heart failure or kidney failure or something like that, right? That might work. It might work because I've heard of people saying that they died and their spirit was next to their body for a while and then they got back in it. But under certain circumstances, it could work. And if it does work, kudos for them. If they can keep people alive until the year 120, because like you said, the body decomposes and they want to help you live as long as you possibly can.
They have to train. Like, I would actually believe more if they say we can take your brain, put it in that little gelatin thing with the bubbles and stuff, and then but I would believe that a little bit more because the fact is that like if you bring me back, I'm going to get older. I'm going to wither. I'm going to deteriorate.
They're not trying to solve that problem. This problem of old age is not being solved. The only problem is you won't die unexpectedly early. That's the only problem that solves. And that's okay. It's okay to say, hey, I got an idea to ensure that if your body doesn't naturally die until the year 120, I can ensure you'll make it there. That's all they're saying. What is wrong with that? What is wrong with that, Smith?
Because you're disrupting the equilibrium of the fabric.
If your genetics say that you're supposed to live to 120, that's how long you're supposed to live. Healthily, that's how long you're supposed to live. Now, if you kill yourself by drinking and drugging and doing whatever in the interim, you're taking life away from yourself.
Exactly why. I'm gonna tell you exactly why. Do you like a good salad, Lolo?
Yeah.
All right, we all do. All right. Well, most of us love a good salad. I know I like a good salad. I love vegetation. Lolo, if you don't hunt, okay, it's an old Native American saying, okay, those who do not hunt during the season will suffer during the harvest. Okay. So watch. This is what I'm saying. The fact is that the salad that we love to eat, if you don't hunt when it's the season and get rid of a certain amount of the herbivores, they will eat up all of the crops and we won't have anything to eat. So my point is that that's a part of the balance of life. So now let's transfer that into the people. Okay. Unfortunately, okay, now mind you, I mean, god dang it, people, I was struck by a train for crying out loud. I know what it's like to be on the brink of that, okay? I know what it's like to be on the cusp of it. So I'm not speaking all privileged, okay? I'm speaking to somebody who basically done came back. But I'm just saying, like, you know, I believe that's going to disrupt the balance. I think we're more concerned about how somebody feels about the person not being here anymore, then we're more concerned about the actual balance of how all of this is supposed to go population wise and everything else. I'm gonna be real.
I disagree because again, when people die early, that's disrupting the balance. If you don't have elders because they all died mid-age, that's disrupting the balance. If you stay natural the way your creator made you, you're supposed to die at 120. That's what your DNA said. So you dying early means you've been eating stuff and doing things that cause you to die early. That's upsetting the balance. So for you to say, well, helping people live to 120 is upsetting the balance. No, it's not. It's actually establishing balance at this point. Now, if they tried to get you to live to be 320, that might be an issue. I give you that, but not at 120. No, if you die at 60 from heart failure and they can keep your heart pumping until they get a new heart for you or grow you a new heart and keep you alive and stuff, and this is now, you know what I mean, a new thing that we do to keep people alive for their lifespan. I don't see how that can hurt anybody.
But do you know what it totally goes against? And this is my last part. This is why I say, oh shit. Because then you're saying that there's no soul, there's no spirit. If we really believe that, no, let's think, let's tap in. If we really believe that there is a soul, that there's a spirit that is inside of this vessel, let's just say whatever you did God chose to, if we really believe even in that sense, and God is in control of what what happens with your spirit. So you telling me you bringing back a corpse with no spirit?
That's not
So,
true.
I'm like, so if you were sent here, or sent there, right? Or anywhere in between in limbo, you telling me that you can put the soul. See, that's what I'm saying, back in the body. That's why I got a hard time. No, Lolo. Yeah, you ain't think about that. I know you believe that there is a light, and that light is that vessel of, that light inside your vessel is that spirit, soul, however you want to word it. It's not just your heart beating, and when that stops is why you decease. It's really actually a personality, a whole everything inside of that vessel. If they were to bring you back, where did they bring you back? Hold on, not the body. So you're telling me they can get the soul back? They can get the spirit back? How they doing that?
The thing
What is?
that you're missing,
Come on. The only thing we got is resuscitation.
no, the thing that you're missing is that these scientists are not concerned with where the soul is at. They're only concerned with their experiment. If someone passes away and they're able to do what he said, and they come back and they remember what happened an hour before they passed away, they remember their name, what year it was, who their mama is. They're not concerned with where your spirit and soul went and if it's separate. They're only concerned with results. You are concerned with, well, where did it go? Where didn't it go? Because you on that woo-woo shit. But at the end of the day, no, at the end of the day, people have said, I died. I didn't want to come back and I was sent back. I died. Right. I saw my body. I wasn't in my body. I can tell you what was happening, and people have told you that the soul, the spirit, whatever you want to call it, separates from the body, but it can go back at will. But you don't believe that Jesus said that he called several people back into their bodies, including his own, at will, and you still don't believe him. Fucking Moses was doing some crazy shit out there with some snakes. You don't believe him. Samuel's ass came back and was telling people about their self, and you don't believe his ass or the girl that brought him back for the king or the king.
Let's not, Lola. Let's not.
Y'all are some
let's not go that far. No, Lola, I can't let you go that far. Before we end this day, I cannot end this show like that.
Disbelievers.
Get this clarified first, just before we get up out of it. Lola, you do believe that there is a spirit inside your body, right? Yes or no?
I don't believe that. If I believed that, I would have to doubt that you on the screen right now.
So where do you think your voice comes? Hold on. So I really want you. No, yeah, let's think about it. When you speak, your voice is unique. You have. I'm talking about, because your voice is like mine too. My voice is unique. Like, I sound like me. Where do you think your voice is coming from? You really just think that's just coming from like a vocal cord or what have you, or do you think that is the instrument, like a organ, in a sense, like an organ, right? Because that's why it's called organ. Isn't it funny? I'm just saying. Where do you think your voice comes from?
Where does your voice come from when you're not speaking? You hear yourself speaking in your mind, right? Where is that coming from?
Even better. That's what I'm saying. Where does that come from?
Where do you think it's coming from?
It's you.
No, I didn't say it wasn't you. I said you right now, if you don't speak, but you think, you hear something. You hear it the same way you're hearing me talking right now. You can hear something that is not actually being said in the room through the same apparatus you're hearing me from. Where is that coming from?
That depends on the person's mental mindset.
Just say you don't know.
It depends. Okay. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
If you don't know, don't be doubting Jake over here that's trying his best and hardest to make people's lives longer. Okay, it's good that they trying to help us with lives, because usually in history they've been killing folk. Let them people help people live. Okay, white people trying to make amends for what they've done. So you let them help us. Okay, they're trying to help us.
But all right, so but see, look, this is still the flaw in what you're saying. Respectfully, you're like, if you die young, then that's messing up. Look, we all still here. Humans are still going on. Although back during them ancient Spartan Roman days and ancient all of that, ancient anything you can think of, medieval and all of that. All right. It's a whole lot of circumstances where that was the whole mission in the Bible itself. Didn't it tell Saul to kill everything, including the cattle? Okay. So all I'm saying is that that's always happened and people are still here. So my point is that I believe that once we start bringing people back, that's going to start disrupting the fabric. I'm telling you.
I don't think it will. I think it would be great. I think it'd be great that people live out their full lives the way God intended them to, versus dying young. And dying young is dying at 70. And most Black men die at 70 because of health-related issues, not natural causes.
Nah, you ain't lying. Nah, you ain't lying. It is. No. Natural. Well, you have two factors. Actually, you have either that or you have the factor of not making it past 30 because of just lifestyle.
Right. That's not natural.
That's not making it past 35, things of that nature,
That's
or like
not natural.
when you like
your body was built to last 120 years. That's natural.
I don't know about 120, Lolo. I mean, maybe 90.
No, I have a degree in forensic science, so I've studied genetics. Your DNA, your telomeres have a literal clock on them. And it's the one thing in the Bible that tells you that something's true about that book, because it literally says that man's years was cut down to 120 specifically. And then, ironically, your genetics says that every human being on this planet is genetically wired to live specifically 120 years. That 120, that's a very, very highly unprecedented number to get correct on the dot. So if what you're saying is true, that the balance is a real thing, the balance starts at 120 years, not 70.
So that's cut short.
Your life, the 120 is what was cut short too. So at 70,
no.
That's
I'm
all
talking
you,
about
brother.
the 70. Yeah. The 70 is cut short.
70 is all you. That's not what God said that you were supposed to, how you were supposed to die. No, you supposed to live to 120. So this is why I said you believe that the idea when you die, it's your time. It's like, it's the time that you created for yourself. I believe that your time is based on what you create for yourself. I don't believe that your time is set. Just like right now, if God gave you 120 and then you go and do something that causes you to die at 20, like that wasn't your time, but it was technically the time you chose. So why can't, if you choose to die and let's say commit suicide at 20, why can't you choose to live? Like, why can't you? If you can choose to die, why you can't choose to live if there's a balance?
What do you mean if there's a balance?
If there's a balance and you can choose to kill yourself, right? Why can't you choose to live?
Because it's not in your cards.
It is.
No, it's not.
Science has proven that it is. Jesus said in the Bible that it is, and then we know from our own witness statements that it is.
It's not. Not for. Listen, no, it is. But just like everything that was written throughout science and throughout the Bible, there are circumstances and there are boundaries and there are certain people who like we all know this. So not everybody was given a prophecy. Not everybody was blessed and given pardon. Not,
Everybody was given free will.
not everybody was born handsome and or beautiful.
Everybody was given free will. And if you have the freedom to choose, then you
Trying
have
to,
the freedom to choose. You can choose to kill yourself or you can choose to live. That's your free will at play. Because if that is not at play, you don't have free will. God isn't the one forcing you to do shit. You have free will. If you choose to do some shit, this is your choice. But the thing is, it's nice and neat to say.
Are you listening to what you're saying?
It is what it is. That's neat.
Are you listening to what you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
So my grandfather and my grandmother, for example, all right. Now, mind you, neither one of them drank or smoke, and I know this for a fact. My mother's, matter of fact, boom, him right there. That's my granddad. All right, he passed away 86 years old. He was about 86. I still think he just passed away from being lonely because he just moved away from everybody, went back to the country. And my point is, you're telling me him passing away like at 86, my grandmother passing away, I think like something like 84 or something like that, some years after him, because he was a few years older than her. You trying to tell me that they were supposed to live to be 120 and all of this other stuff? And
I'm
I
telling
think
you, I'm telling you that loneliness works on the heart, and the heart has its own brain. And when the heart decides I can't go on no more, it's also connected to everything else. So if he died of loneliness, this is something that caused him to prematurely shut down, and that happens. This computer is built to last beyond today, but I can short circuit it for real if I spill water on the wrong place. But it's not built to shut off right now. Like, so I'm telling you, as hard as it may believe, that your grandfather's biology said that he was supposed to pass somewhere around 120, if not at 120. But because we know people that live beyond 120. However, he didn't because of health-related issues that can prematurely take your life, like a lot of other things. But he was built to last.
So that's what I'm saying. Then you do not have a choice if you want to live. Listen, you gotta exit. You don't have that choice.
When did I say you won't? When did I say you don't exit?
You're saying, okay, you said that you can live. I know 120 is the exit mark, but what I'm saying is that that's not supposed. If it really was set up that every single person was supposed to just be born and pass away at 120, first and foremost, like between overcrowding everything, like you got to understand how that's. Have you
ever lived in a world where most people live to be 120?
I know it sounds cruel, but it's to make it a balance, Lolo.
You're not looking at a real balance because you've never lived in a world like that. So you're doubting what you don't know. You've never seen your grandparents at 120, but if you've seen two of your grandmothers at 135, you wouldn't be sitting here talking like that.
I get you on that. I get you on that. I'm just saying, okay, so my great grandma, Annie, she passed away. She was like 91. That's the oldest I think in my family I've ever heard of was Annie. I think the oldest
person you've ever heard of?
No, in my direct from like grandmas, granddads, uncles, aunts, and everything. The oldest was my great grandma. I actually met her. Like I know she was old because I was born in 82. She passed away at 91 years old, and she lived until I was about 12. So that means, yeah, she passed away maybe around in the 90s. Yeah.
So you have people that live up until their 90s in your family that you know of. So no one can tell you that 90 something isn't realistic to live and that you're cutting off the balance of things to live to 91, right? Nobody can tell you, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Now, if you go someplace else and the average lifespan is 98, are you still going to sit and say, well, that's throwing off the balance? 98?
No.
Okay, 98. 104. We have plenty of people that's 104, right?
To
Now we
bring
only down
them
to
back.
16
To
more.
bring them back.
Hold on. Now I said 104. I can show you that that human beings are living longer, and 104 isn't really that bad, and people are not living like sickly to 104, right? I can show you couples, people, and if I leave the United States, I can show you even more. But it's like that's 104. We only 16 years away. Only 16 years away, not 400 years away, 16. And you're sitting here arguing with me about what is real when I can show you people that are beyond 120 years old. And you're talking about, oh, well, that would upset the balance. No, it wouldn't. What balance? People are living and dying. Okay. People are on this planet, in which we got plenty of space. We have plenty of food. You know how much food we throw away from the little bit of space we do use? Stop it. Stop believing the hype. Okay. Your genetics said 120 years. Your religions said 120 years. There's no reason why it shouldn't be 120 years, because let's be honest, Abraham died at 200 as well as his wife, and you don't say he's a fiction of your imagination.
And that's what I wanted to. So how was it that so they was able to live to be 200, 300, 800 years all this other shit, and they had nowhere near the medicine and they had nowhere near the medicine and technology that we have today.
You don't know what they had because you wasn't there. All you know is that they, at the time he lived, his father lived to be 200 and some change. He lived to be 200 and some change. His wife lived to be 200 and some change. And we don't know about his nieces and nephews and cousins and uncles and all of that. But we know that whole family is over there living over 200 years. Now, you don't deny that he existed, but you want to deny the age that somebody can live when he died at 200?
I got you. I mean, who was it? Job or Abraham? One of them, their wives. Yeah, wives got pregnant like at 90 something.
Abraham is supposed to have lived during the 18th dynasty. We got that on record. Supposed
to.
That wasn't that long ago. In comparison to the evidence we do have that humans been on this earth, that wasn't that long ago. So you're telling me you believe that Abraham existed? We have no physiological proof that he existed, but you believe he existed, and he lived to be 200, which no genetics say that you live to 200. It says 120 in the DNA, but you're gonna doubt me when I say that living to be 120 is quite normal, and dying at 80 and 70 and 60 is dying young. But you believe Abraham existed and lived to 200?
Well, see, the thing that baffles me, all right, it does baffle me how we have plenty of tombstones and document records of how long pharaohs have lived. But for some reason, when it comes to these prophets, from a David, a Solomon, Abraham, Moses, Aaron, Job, you name it, for some reason, everybody's bones are missing. That doesn't mean.
So you think that everybody that was written about in the last 700 years, we should know where their graves is at, because people prior to then knew that we would need to know and catalog everybody? That's what you believe?
I'm just trying to figure out how is it that we have evidence of like the first cavemans, and we have, I know you've seen some of them. They got names and stuff, and they got them when they literally primitive human. But for some reason, that era of the holy days, I'm talking about Bible, Quran, Torah, all of it. For some reason, throughout them days, it's like bones just was missing for some reason.
Here's the thing.
You see what I'm saying by that? Like, I mean, you got dinosaur bones.
Here's the thing. I can think of several reasons to further explain why you don't have a specific grave. Maybe because during that time, people didn't make graves because they were nomads. You don't create graveyards when you're a nomad. You know what you create? A burn site. When you're a nomadic culture,
we know
if you are a maritime culture, you put your dead and you throw them over into the water Okay, that's if you're a maritime culture. Now, settlements is something that came very, very late in the game after Egypt. Now, mind you, what you're talking about is one group of people out of thousands, one Israelites, the small tribal group, that a Canaanite tribal group that say they wandered in the desert. Okay.
Mhm.
And you're saying, well, we can't find the graves of the people that they said they were related to. Mind you, the people they're talking about is Iranian. Tell me something without telling me something. Okay. I need you to get some faith. I need you to, if even if you don't have faith in religion, have faith in what's in your veins, man. Go look it up. I'm not telling you what I don't know. Go look it up. 120. 120.
120. I'm gonna write this down right now.
Look it
It's
up.
not,
Look
hold
it
on.
up.
And 120 years. Look up online. And make song about it.
He said, and make song about it. Wait. I'm just telling you. I know that it's hard to believe, but all I'm telling you is the only reason why it's hard for you to believe is because you didn't watch your grandparents do it. But if you watched your great grandparents do it, and then you notice your grandmother didn't live as long, and then your father didn't live as long, you'd be like, something's off, because our family lived to be 150. I mean, my great grandmother was 156. How y'all dying early? That would be your mentality.
But
But
that's what I'm trying to tell
because you
you.
haven't seen it, you don't believe it. And that goes back to your point earlier with Jesus. People need to see him call the weather something else. They need to see him call the dead bed. They need to see him walk on. They need to see. And then they still don't believe. How about that? So just like you need to see, you need to smell, you need to touch, and hopefully you'll believe. But at the end of the day, if you don't believe, it's not going to hurt you. It's okay if you die early. Homeboy ain't going to bring you back if you don't want him to.
My final thoughts is that this last 30 minutes was good. He has been very antagonistic. He has been non-cooperative. I'll mess with you.
Hey,
Nah,
hey.
what? Nah, man, this has been a great show, man. I appreciate everybody tapping in. I will say on my final words, this show is not about to get you to be all like death scared or worried. Because first and foremost, I don't believe we die. Life must live, death must die. So if you're of life, you shall live, right? And I mean in this body or not. My point is, I do believe that is something that we should take time and think about just a little bit more, especially those of us who starting to slowly get up there in age. Like, yo, like, man, I'm in my 40s now. Like, I always remember just talking to people at this age. I don't never remember being here. You know what I mean? And it's like the more and more it goes by, it's like the more I find myself reflecting on life. And it's an old saying that goes, the youth will always talk about the future because they're in their past, and the elders will always speak about their past because they're in their future. And I find myself talking about back in my day a whole lot more now. And it's just making me slowly, and I'm talking about, yes, in my 40s, I'm saying I'm slowly starting to recognize how it works. How, like, with each season that passes on, it's just if you really pay attention to your body and who you are, how it all plays out. So, no, that's all. It's just, I don't think that's something we pay attention to enough. And I know why, because we all scared of it. We want to run from it. But yeah, every last one of y'all asses want to sit around and play horror zombie games, and you want to watch horror movies all day. I don't get it, but I'll leave it alone. Okay. All right. You like to watch the shit, but you don't want to talk about it. Okay,
But
cool.
it's sensationalized to see The Walking Dead, and they look gruesome, right? What about if you've seen The Walking Dead like it was described in the Bible when Jesus came up out the grave and other people came up out the grave with him?
It was
That were
leopards.
passed away.
They were leopards. They
No,
just had a
no. It
disease.
didn't say leopards came out the grave when Jesus, after the third day when he was risen. It says
Okay.
that other people came out the grave too, not leopards, other people, and they were walking around like regular people. So what I'm saying is, listen, it's a lot of stuff in religion that people don't pay attention to. But trust me, The Walking Dead is a reality, but it don't look as gruesome as that. It looks more like me and you. Like, I died yesterday. I really did, for 3 hours. And I came back and I'm here and I'm telling you, death is different than what you think it is. Death is
What's
almost
the last
like
you might,
it's like a wave. The wave in the ocean. There's no separation between the waves of the ocean and the ocean itself. So that's how death is. It's like you're not away from anything. It's just a different, like a different shape of reality. It's not a difference. Like, you don't go anywhere different, which is why some people may feel that their ancestors are still here, because technically, based on what we are, not our bodies, what we are is permeating through the fabric of space and
right.
time. So I'm okay with learning new things that my ancestors didn't know. Maybe they didn't know how to live to be 120. Maybe 120 is what it was shortened to, if we want to believe that. Maybe it's longer than that. But I know, based on my studies at the university, it's 120 minimum. So we've been dying from early age, not old age, early age. So I would suggest getting some faith. I would suggest getting some health care, like your own health care. I would suggest making sure we understand that, listen, if I can watch a 90-year-old woman get up and pull her whole body up and then put her legs up like this to her face, and she just as strong as she ever was, everybody can do that. It depends on you. You got a choice to live, or you got a choice to die. That is your choice.
Thank you, Dr. Sebi.
You're welcome.
I mean, and with that being said, I digress. My mic is muted, man. Shout out to y'all. Lola, the next episode that I'm going to do is basically going to be about it's going to be about carnivorous diets versus herbivore diets. So you guys stay tuned for that, because that's something we want to talk about as well. I believe it's my duty as a retired chef to give you at least what it is that I know when it comes to both factors of it. So I'm going to do a herbivore versus carnivorous diet. Okay.
Okay.
And see what we got on that. But with that being said, y'all have a good one. Shout out, Lolo. I appreciate you, fam.
No problem. See you guys next time. Great stream.